Hey everyone, Eric here from Whose Turn Board Games, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to play and set up the game Star Realms. Now Star Realms is a deck builder of sorts, and it is typically played with 2 people. It can be played with more, but I think usually it's best with 2. It can be done up to 6, so just kind of keep that in mind. The idea behind it is that you are a captain in space, and there's 4 factions that are at war, and you actually work with all of them in order to reduce the opponent's authority in order to win the game. Kind of sounds a little weird, but it's what kind of makes it a little bit unique. It's not just life points, it's authority overall. Now it takes about, I'd say 10 to 15 minutes or so, upwards to maybe a half hour per game, depending on the number of people overall. Really, 2-player games shouldn't take more than 20 minutes, and I think the 6-player game, the one time I played it with 6 people, it took about 45 minutes with learning, but that's about what you're looking at. It's a very short, quick, simple little game. Really enjoy it, very easy to get into, so definitely would recommend. Now, setup itself is very simple with this particular one. As you can see, it's a very small box. There is going to be a couple of different versions, and I think what I have is actually the 2nd edition, if I'm not mistaken. I bought it a while ago, so forgive me. What we had originally was actually the Kickstarter version, and that Kickstarter version only had the original cards with it. It now should come with little challenges and extra stuff like that. This is mainly meant for 3 or more people, so if you're not playing with more than 3, I definitely would just disregard these entirely. They are each little scenarios, and they kind of like just give you a little idea as to what you're going to be doing and what you're going to be playing against. They do have their own authorities. It can be done with more than just 3 people, but typically it's really just kind of is what it is. You'll have to kind of read them all. I'm not really going to go over them at all in this particular video, but definitely check them out if you're interested. Again, those are just added features. Otherwise, it's just dump out the cards. Now, once the cards are all out, you just kind of shuffle up every single thing that's got just the Star Realms logo on the back. There are going to be some special ones which I'll go into, but you'll be able to tell they'll all be faction cards, which I'll get into in a second here. Shuffle them all up together. You do technically make 2 separate piles and have everything in between. You like to have the 2 piles. You can have 1 pile. It really doesn't matter too much overall. It's just the fact that you should have a pile of cards and somewhere that you're able to get, it's the trade row is what it's actually called. Out of all the cards, there are going to be something you start off with. Each player will start off with 2 Vipers. Let's say the name at the very top, and then it'll have a big red 1 at the very bottom. And then they will have a total of 8 Scouts. Scouts are all the same. They just give you a Scout at the top, and it'll be 1 coin at the bottom. That's how you purchase new spaceships when you're in space. So again, each player will get a stack of that. 10 cards to start. You just kind of shuffle them up for each player, and that's going to make the player's deck. So 1 deck will go over here. The other one will be in front of me. All right, up next, you're going to make a stack of Explorer cards. Again, they're going to have the same back as everything else, but they are going to be labeled Explorer. You only can buy as many as there are. Once this deck is gone, you can't purchase any more. Anytime you were to scrap them or destroy them, they go back into the Explorer pile and can be repurchased. Just so you know that this is going to be a separate pile, they will always be available for purchase. So we set them off to one side in the end. It does not really matter. I'm just going to choose this side. Now the life total, you're going to have 2 totals overall. As you see, they have a 0, a 10, a 20, a 30. Oh, yay, we can count. Good job. So then also they're going to have numbers 0 through 9. You start off with 50 authority. So what you do is you take the 50, place it on top of the other one. This indicates that you have 50 authority. When you take any kind of damage or you lose authority, you then shift it over to the next number. Let's say they took 2 damage. They are now at 48 because it is 40 on this card and 8 on here. Once each player has that set up and all the decks are everywhere, again, 2 decks, 1 deck, whatever you would like to do, there's going to be an invisible scrap pile just over here. Just keep that in mind. It'll come into a reference here in a little bit. You then flip up a total of 5 ships from the deck in some capacity. Does not matter where you flip them up, but we're going to flip them up in some capacity. You then randomly select a player to start. I'm going to choose myself, and that player will draw 3 cards from their deck. The other player will draw 5 cards of their deck. And that's set up. So once everything is all set up, you are then going to take turns drawing cards from your personal deck, playing them down in any order you choose, doing their actions as such, deciding if you're going to continue to do whatever or scrapping and stuff like that, and then purchasing off of the trade row. So that's set up. Once everything has been set up, you then start the game. Each player will take turns taking their turns, so to speak, and they're going to be doing 3 different phases. There's the main phase, the discard phase, and then the draw phase. The main phase is where everything happens. What you're going to do in your main phase, when you have the cards in your play, you will play them out in any order you'd like to, and then do whatever the card was to say. Again, starting hands, you only have scouts and vipers. So I have no vipers here, so I only have 3 coins. They don't do anything else, I don't do any damage to the other player. I can buy anything from this trade row in this middle section here, or an explorer with any of the funds that I have. You can continue to buy until you are out of coins. You don't have to buy anything, but you can buy as many things as you can up to whatever your value of the coins that you have are. So in this example, I have 3 coins. I could buy a blob fighter, as well as an explorer, if I so desired. Now before I bought that explorer, anytime you buy a card from the actual trade row itself, you instantly flip up the next card. So now here, this is only worth 1, because the value, I apologize, value is in the upper left corner of the card. This is the faction, and there's going to be a total of 4 factions. It's important to kind of pay attention to. As you can see, there's extra things. I'll get into that here in a second. Once you flip up a card, as I've purchased this one for 1 coin, that 1 coin is spent, I still have 2 coins to buy. I could buy this particular card as well, which I will, and then another card flips up. I now only have 1 coin left to buy. There is nothing that can buy worth 1 coin. My turn is done. I then discard all the cards that I drew, that I played, as well as anything that I just recently purchased. Put them down in the discard pile, and I would then draw up another 5 cards. This is how turns take place. It's just like that. Any damage that you play when you lay it out does to the other player. Anything that you were to heal, which I'll get into in a second, you immediately take those life points. Anytime that you have trade, once you are done doing the damage, you can then buy everything. Once your turn is done, you discard all the cards you have both purchased as well as played into your discard pile, drop the next 5 cards. As I stated before, you are going to want to pay attention to the factions. 4 colors overall: red, blue, yellow, and green. Anytime you were to, for example, have multiple cards that are played at the same time and have an extra ability, they then enact that ability. So if I have both of these cards in my hand at the same time when I lay them out, not only do I do a total of 8 damage, 5 for one, 3 for the other, but by playing each of these, they actually work off each other. They have synergy. They each let me draw 1 card, so I will draw 2 more cards on top of my hand that I already have. I'm not going to get into every single card and what they all do just because there are a lot of them. You will just have to play them as you see it and just kind of figure out what it means overall. I will say pay attention to the wording because there are very specific ways that some cards are stated, such as when there is a red card that lets you discard from your hand or from your discard pile. So if it's from your hand, you lose it, you do not do that damage, you do not do those coins, you do not do anything that turn. Just pay attention to that. The other thing I want to talk about is going to be bases. Actually, bases and outposts, I apologize. So, if you were to purchase a base, you'll see that they are first sideways from where the ships are. When a base comes out to play, you place it off to the side. It is in play until that base is destroyed. In order to destroy a base, you have to do as much damage as is on the number shield. So this one would take 3 damage. This one would take 6. When a base is in play, you get that advantage every single turn the base is active. So for example here, by laying this out, I will actually not only have a green card that's actually in play the entire time, I will do 2 damage every single time, every single turn to the opponent. If I play 1 green card, it enacts the synergy. I can play the base that turn, I can already have it out, does not matter. When they get destroyed, they go to your discard pile, then when you shuffle everything up, when you run out of cards, you have to shuffle up your discard pile. They come back into play whenever you draw them. The other thing I will mention is that there's a difference, obviously, between the gray and the black. You didn't hallucinate that. The black is an outpost. You have to do 6 damage to this particular card in order to destroy it in one go, or no damage is dealt. You must destroy this outpost before you can do any damage to me. So you have to do 6 damage in one turn, because they heal at the end of every single turn. Is a base, those are optional. They can continue to hit my face as much as they want to. They can leave this card out for the entire game. They have to destroy the outpost in order to get to me. The last thing to go over for game mechanics is going to be scrapping cards. Some cards have a little trash bin symbol on it. If you were to scrap this card at any point in time, you do an extra 2 damage. When you scrap a card, you instantly remove it from the game. You will do whatever it says in order to do. So here you will get 2 coins to buy 2. You'll do 2 damage. And if you say you're going to scrap it, and then when you're all said and done, you will scrap it instead of discard it. Same with this one. If I were to scrap it, I do whatever it says at the very bottom, and then I put it in the scrap pile. It does not go on. The Explorer pile is separate. The scrap pile is over on the other side, and the scrap pile is where all cards that are discarded and removed from the game go. The last feature I have to talk about is going to be healing. Whenever you see a green symbol like this on any card, you would then heal however much damage you would take. Now this says you can do one or the other. If I wanted to take healing or get 1 coin, I cannot do both. You have to pay attention to wording because there are some that say and. That's Star Realms. Overall, a very simple game to set up. Really, really, really fun. Infinite replayability. It's very quick, and I love it. I really enjoy it. It's a pretty good engine builder. I mean, there are better ones out there, but this one does what it does very well for how quick it is. So definitely recommend if you have 2 people on the norm and you are always looking for something to play. Like, this is something that my wife and I actually play, I wouldn't say quite a bit, but quite often, and it's just a lot of fun. I've never been all like, no, I don't want to play the game, it's dumb. It's always a fun time, always a great time to get this one on the table, and I'd highly recommend it. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and give it a like. If you want to follow us on our board game journey and check out our other how to plays and setups, we do a couple board game reviews. We're starting to get a couple more content kind of coming out about board games, so if that's your jelly and jam, just consider subscribing. It would really help us out on our board game journey here. That's all I got, so hope you found the video helpful, and until next time, whose turn?